the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now is Okpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, G.
Good morning, Dr.
How was your weekend?
It was excellent.
Looking very fresh.
Thank you. I had a very good weekend, me and Adesua.
Yes, I was wondering where you were yesterday when I called you and you were not giving me full information.
I was hanging out with my children. I told you
I would like to be debriefed later.
Okay, I will, for sure. Good morning, Rufai. How are you?
Hi, good morning, Audrey. I wish I could be there with you on the weekend.
Oh, okay. Next weekend, maybe.
Oh, great.
Yes, me and you and Adesua.
Great. That was a good fun.
Perfect. Well, good morning to you, viewers. We begin what's trending in Nigeria. The Socioeconomic Rights and Accountability Project has initiated a lawsuit against President Muhammadu Buhari over the failure to disclose information and documents relating to the names of people from whom 800 billion naira of looted public funds have been recovered. The group is seeking for the president to publish a comprehensive list of names of the people, as well as the details of how the monies were spent and the specific dates of the recovery. In addition, the group also seeks a thorough investigation to the alleged payment of 51 billion naira of public funds into individual private accounts in 2019. The Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, and the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, are both joined as respondents in the lawsuit. Let's take some Twitter reactions before we come back for a discussion. Twitter user Restore Nigeria wrote, "We need these records. This is a legitimate request. President Buhari should direct a relevant agency to publish this list. To fight corruption is to fight the norm, and those who promoted this norm should be exposed for deterrence." Another user wrote, "I believe that SERAP is another arm of the present government designed to further deceive Nigerians. If not, how many cases has it won against the federal government in favor of Nigerians? It's being used to ward off potential opposite who may wish to sue the government. Who bankrolls them? Adesua." Who bankrolls SERAP? I mean, basically, this has been going on for years. They always sue the government. And like all the Twitter users are saying, nothing comes out of the lawsuit. It is a legitimate request. We all want to know what happened to our looted funds. Dr. Abati.
Well, Socioeconomic Rights and Accountability Project has been doing a great job of holding government to account, and I do not think it would be fair to say that they are an arm of government or that they've not been winning cases. They've been winning cases against the government in court, and we've had their spokespersons on several occasions on this program. So what they're talking about is accountability, and in this regard, they're asking a legitimate question about monies that have been recovered and whether or not government can account for the recovered loot. And then again, they are raising the question, which was in fact disclosed by government itself, that 51 billion naira, was paid into individual private accounts. And they are asking for the details. What they've now done in this particular case, as in previous cases, is to take two steps. One, on 13 June 2020, they submitted a Freedom of Information request to the federal government. And having not received any response, any answer as to their queries in that regard, they've now approached the Federal High Court, Abuja, to sue as respondents the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice and the Minister of Finance. And they are seeking an order of mandamus, which is a mandatory order, compelling these two officials of state to give a detailed account of what happened to the 800 billion naira in question. And I think that, in terms of locus, it's within their bona fide rights to ask these questions. But what then happens, it will be interesting to see how that case plays out in court, and whether, in the long run, the federal government will respect the outcome of the case. Because the big issue with regard to many of the cases that SERAP and similar NGOs had won in court is the federal government ignoring the order of court. But from a public interest perspective, their continued insistence on transparency and accountability is not something that should be derided, because it's part of the pillars of the democratic process that citizens have the right to know. And when people make FOI submissions, Freedom of Information submissions, they are insisting on the citizens' right to know. This is done elsewhere in the world. In fact, in other jurisdictions, there will have been a website where this will have been published. And the Nigerian government previously had also set up a portal where these disclosures will be made. So this should not be seen as an antagonistic approach, nor should it be seen as, you know, a smoke screen. In fact, to suggest that it is the federal government of Nigeria that is sponsoring SERAP, in my view, is an unfair comment.
Absolutely. Rufai, the president, to mark June 12th, had said that the 800 billion naira would be used for infrastructure. I mean, wouldn't you want to know what these types of projects will be?
I mean, I would like to know, and I want to see a breakdown, a proper breakdown of this. And this should even be a non-issue to start with. I mean, as a citizen and in a country where we're fighting corruption, I have a right to be able to see how these monies were recovered, what they've been used for, the projects that have been executed. And apart from the project, I also want to further see the impact assessment on the lives of people, you know, how it's going to impact the lives. I want numbers, I want data, and this shouldn't be a big deal. You know, there's FOI there. We've gone through this level before, and they should be able to show us all of this. I'm shocked that this is a big deal, that we're still withholding this level of information. You know, transparency is good for democracy, and we want to see this. I thought we fought the fight of FOI. Why should information still be withheld from people? Then what was the reason for the fight in the first place? We don't even need to go through the process of SERAP suing them before we know that this is out there. This should be out there like yesterday. This should be out there in public glare.
Absolutely. Adeswa, you had one point to add.
The thing is, it's not just SERAP. We've seen these allegations of looted funds being relooted. So let's ensure that this is not the case at hand. Let's ensure that, you know, we're not only tracking it, tracing it, we are returning it and using it, you know, purposefully.
Very good point. Let's take another story. The Islamic movement in Nigeria has alleged that 3 of its members were killed in a clash with the police during their annual Ashura morning procession in Kaduna. According to the reports, the incident occurred while the Shiite sect were being dispersed by the police while they were on their annual procession event, which is usually held in commemoration of the death of Imam Hussein, the grandson of Prophet Muhammad. During the clash, one Shiite member who was shot died on the spot. Well, let's take a look at this amateur video before we come back for a discussion. Dr. Abati, this has been an ongoing battle. I mean, loss of lives in Nigeria. I mean, this needs to stop. It's really heartbreaking to see these types of videos every day circulating on social media. I know that, you know, this Shiite clash with the police have been an ongoing battle for, you know, almost a decade now, I believe. And, you know, I believe at one point there was 1,300 of protesters that died at one point during this whole movement. Please, could you enlighten us and tell us why this continues?
Condemnable.
Yes.
Every time on this program, we say that the excessive use of force by the security agencies is unacceptable. And in this particular case, we're dealing not just with abuse of authority by the security agencies, we're also dealing with sectarian politics within the Islamic religion. Now, the Ashura procession is an annual event. It is held on the 10th day of the Muharram, which is the first month on the Islamic calendar. The Islamic calendar for this year, 1442, started on 20th August. And that procession is held in honor of Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib, the third Shia Imam, who was killed at the Battle of Karbala on 3rd October 680. And this problem has been there since the 7th century, as you can see. And, you know, Hussein, who is the grandson of the Prophet, peace be upon him, through his daughter Fatima. And it was somebody the Prophet adopted as his own son, because as the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the children of his daughter are also his own direct children. But then there was that problem at that time over succession, who would be the next caliphate. And at the Battle of Karbala on 3rd October 680, he was killed. His wife was detained. His young son was also killed. And since then, he's become a symbol of a revolution in Islam. It led to the Abbasid revolution. And so this has been there, it's been a recurring thing. So you find between the Sunni and the Shiites, this age-old battle. And the Ashura is usually used as a form of protest, because Hussein became a symbol for protest, for rebellion against constituted authority. And even people like Nelson Mandela quoted, Imam Hussein. So every time you have in Nigeria the Ashura procession, people think, oh, these troublemakers. The Sunnis, who are in the majority, they feel uncomfortable. And so that's the sectarian angle to it. And you recall the 1979 Iranian revolution was also, in a sense, a Shiite revolution. So this is part of the problem, but what is important is for us to separate state from sectarian politics, because you won't be surprised next year again we will have the same problem. And don't forget that the leader of the Shiite movement in Nigeria is Zakzaki and his wife. They've remained in detention ever since they had that confrontation with the chief of army staff. And so it looks like a persecuted group on the basis of a religious belief. And I think that these are the fundamental issues that need to be addressed. But murder, official murder, extrajudicial killing of any sort, whatever may be the sectarian crisis at the base of it, is unacceptable, is commendable, is condemnable.
Needs to stop. Did you have a point?
Indeed. This Iran-backed movement has had a history of tension, like Dr. Abacha has rightly laid out there. But it came to a head in 2015 when there was that clash with the military.
Yes.
And also, this happened in Kaduna. I think we should also put it out there that, the Kaduna state government disbanded this group. So they remain outlawed in Kaduna state. However, they continue to protest. So you continue to see the clash between security agencies and the group. But again, we should condemn excessive use of force.
I agree with you. Rufai?
Very sad. Very, very sad. Things like this should not happen. You remember the Abuja incident? A young budding journalist of a platform lost his life in that incident. Still in a crisis like this. Very sad. We have not learned. Today, again, another 3 people died as a result of this same crisis. Very sad. It's obvious that we are not learning. There are better ways to look at people and ensure that peace reigns in a protest or a procession. Not using live bullets, not shooting people to death. This is becoming one too many. It's becoming a recurring decimal over and over and over again. Very sad. We can't, take out the Shia Sunni debacle, led to the downfall of Iran in '79 and all of that. But this is very sad. We should tell police how to control processions like this and marches like this. Not bullets being used. I mean, look at the other day. We had IPOB, a meeting dismantled, IPOB meeting dismantled. Gunshots were fired. We're hearing people are dying here and there. The first line of action should not be for police to use, live bullets in things like this. We should be very careful. There are citizens in this country.
Right.
This is a very, very sad trend. Now we should put a stop to it.
Right.
People can't lead processions and the next thing we hear people are dying here and there. This is very sad.
And there are no winners in this because in all of these clashes through the years, both sides lose, keep losing people, even the police. We've lost policemen, we've lost soldiers to these clashes as well.
Yes.
So there's no winner in all of this.
Pointless. Well, let's take another story. Reports are reaching us that the helicopter which crashed in Lagos on Friday was declared non-airworthy in 2017 by the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority. The reports indicate that the helicopter was declared non-airworthy after it was discovered that most of the equipment on board had expired. The aircraft, which has been used in the past by different Nigerian airline operators, allegedly obtained its operator's certificate from the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authorities illegally. While investigations into the cause of Friday's crash is currently ongoing, many Nigerians have paid tribute to the kind-hearted pilot, Chike Ernest, after reports revealed that he maneuvered the helicopter to avoid maximum casualties on the ground and dumped fuel to avoid explosion on impact. Well, here's a video of the pilot just hours before the flight.
Chica must go.
Chica must go.
We must go.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere. Why do you feel I needed some space? Customs officer, really? I don't know about this human trafficking, really. I like no thanks. I don't get visa. Shut up.
This is so sad. I mean, over the weekend, we had these, back-to-back sad news from Chadwick to our hero, Chika Ike, who, apparently avoided a lot of casualties by maneuvering and dumping fuel. But, Dr. Abati, I have a question. What is the repercussion of obtaining an illegal AOC if this is the issue here?
Well, I assume that the report that you have quoted is a product of investigative journalism. And so we don't really know the truth yet.
Yes.
And I will say that we should not jump to conclusions. What happened on Friday was a very sad incident. That helicopter was just 2 minutes away, according to the authorities, from the Murtala Mohammed Airport in Ikeja. And then it crashed. The pilot has been praised for maneuvering in such a way that he minimized on the ground casualties. And then he landed the airport tragically, as it turned out, on a fence between two buildings. Incidentally, the two buildings involved are owned by two grandmothers. One of them is about 90 years old. I hope that Quorum Aviation will go a step further to make sure that they make necessary repairs. In terms of the damage to the building and the damage to the vehicles within the two compounds. We're told that the two grandmothers were really traumatized. And also within the community, there was that, fear and anxiety. And we want to commiserate with the families of the three crew members that died in that unfortunate incident. Now, this report that you have quoted is indicating that helicopter was, defective, and that there have been some sharp practices. Now, that is to be investigated, and that's why I say, for now, we should not jump to any conclusions yet. There is a body called the Accident Investigation Bureau, AIB, and the AIB in Nigeria is highly rated for its professionalism, for its thoroughness. I'm sure that by now the black box will have been made available, and the AIB on social media has already said they have commenced investigations. So their investigation should not rule out any option.
Yes.
It should cover what could be the immediate cause of that particular crash, and should also look at, the kind of surrounding circumstances that the report that you quoted has pointed out. Was there negligence involved? If there was negligence, who was responsible for that negligence, and will such persons be named, shamed, and sanctioned? Because two airlines were mentioned, Quorum Aviation and another. So where is the problem there? And who gave the approval for a purportedly defective helicopter to fly from Port Harcourt to Lagos, resulting in this kind of a tragedy? It's unfortunate, very scary. The whole of Friday, everybody was panicking. I deliberately avoided going through that route.
Oh, you did?
Because, as I listened to it on the radio, I was wondering, how can a helicopter drop? Although I've been in helicopters before that nearly dropped, but you don't want to be in that kind of situation. It's really sad, very unfortunate, but we commiserate with the families involved.
Yes.
Audrey, I want to look at one angle.
Yes.
And this makes me very sad. Sorry, I'm quite very sad today.
I'm sorry.
The role of crowd control when we have things like this, incidents like this, I'm sorry to use the word, very useless crowd. People go around there, they are not doing anything. They wouldn't allow people that can save lives come in there. We should stop it once and for all. If you have an accident, if you're not calling the emergency team, there's no reason for you to be there. That day we had people, unnecessary people that just wanted to take pictures, that he impeded the work of, rescue agencies and things like that. I can't sound the note of warning enough. Please, if you have no business there is no point going there. You are not rescuing anybody. We do this in accidents. We do this in everything that happens. Secondly, I think I was also hearing about not finding the brain box, that the helicopter didn't have a brain box, that they had black box, that they had sensors and things like that. Once they conclude the investigation, we would like to see the investigation. Brave one there, Chike. Very painful that we had to go through this, but isn't this a reflection? If this is true, if we are found to be complicit in this, if we find that there are some circumstances that we could have controlled in this, isn't this a reflection of the things we've been talking about? We should do everything in transparency and in the truth and let the truth prevail. It's a very sad one. We hope this doesn't happen again.
Right. Well, in the age of everybody carrying one small phone, including second-hand phones all over the place, voyeurism has emerged as a disease of the times. And that's why everybody has become a journalist. Every little thing, they abandon compassion. What they want to get is the story. So that's the unfortunate part of it, about people milling around and trying to get a story with their small phones out of the situation. But there was another disturbing part of the story. We were told that, look, the pilot didn't immediately die. He was rushed to the hospital. And at the hospital was asking for police reports. Now, I thought once upon a time in this country, it was said that for gunshot victims, there was even an enabling law that, look, hospitals should not ask for police report. If indeed it is true, I think that's unfortunate, and the hospital should be named. The hospital that did not want to help, in line with the Hippocratic Code, and was asking for police report. Whereas in this particular case, it was an emergency, it was an accident, it was not a case of a gunshot victim. I just hope that that story is not true. But if it is true, that hospital should be exposed.
Yes. Well, quickly, just to avoid repeating what has been said, but the Quorum Aviation Company has released a statement saying they do have all their licenses, their AOCs, their airworthiness, and their insurance cover. And then Dr. Abati also mentioned rebuilding the properties. Over the weekend, we also heard that the governor visited the scene and promised to rebuild and also check for integrity tests of those buildings affected. So I think a lot is being done. But let us wait for AIB. I agree with that.
All right. We'll take our final story. Over the weekend, news of the passing of Hollywood actor Chadwick Boseman sent shockwaves through the media as the world continues to grieve the man whose groundbreaking role in the Marvel comic film Black Panther, which made history as the first superhero film to be nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, the actor continues to make history even after his passing. Twitter has now revealed that the announcement of the actor's death via his official Twitter handle is the most liked tweet in the history of the microblogging platform, with over 7.4 million likes. Tributes have been pouring in for the late actor, and more details of his private life have emerged after the news of his passing hit the internet. Let's take a look at this video back in 2018, where Black Panther fans filmed a video message sharing what the movie meant to them. What they didn't know was that Chadwick Boseman was right behind the curtain, waiting to surprise them. Let's take a look.
For me, as the mother of a young son, my son's childhood has been defined by Barack Obama and now Black Panther, so thank you.
Hey, that's way too much praise. Barack Obama.
No.
You are gorgeous. Gorgeous family.
That is unexpected.
Gorgeous
family. Thank you. Wow, what a surprise.
My father is African. He's from Ghana. He's a scientist. My mother, my sisters, brilliant African-American women. So basically everything that represents me was honored in this movie. I've seen the movie twice in theaters already and once on bootleg. It was incredible.
Come on,
That's so cute. You know, another video that was making rounds on social media over the weekend was that of a red carpet event in which Chadwick didn't want to give away any spoilers when he was asked about the movie Avengers Endgame, record-breaking box office pre-sales. Let's take a look at that video before we discuss real quick.
And I don't know if you know this, but you also broke the internet this morning with another film, Avengers Endgame.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Did I scare you?
I haven't even looked at my phone. What are you talking about?
But people are like ready to see this movie. They're buying the tickets. It's nuts. I mean, how does that feel to know that they love this film so much?
It's great, but I'm dead. So I can't answer any questions about that.
Oh, okay. So you don't want to give us a spoiler or anything like that?
I'm dead.
What about Black Panther 2? Anything?
I'm dead.
That video really hit home for me. I mean, a lot of people were saying that he had predicted his death, but really he just didn't want to give away any spoilers. But it goes to show that we really need to listen and pay attention. And this man's life has created a huge void in a lot of people's lives. Really, really heartbreaking story. Well, may the king rest in peace.
Well, I'm sure that by now the Twitter likes will even be more than 7.4 million.
Yes, this morning I checked, it was 7.4 million.
And that's a measure of his impact, his strength of character, the depth of his talent, and what he was able to achieve. But thank you very much.
And this is where we're going to go.
Look at me.
And that's all on What's Trending.
Yes.